All right. I did say in class today that I had a video on YouTube that would show exactly how to draw a line graph. Now, I went back and checked, and while I do have many graphing videos on YouTube, I do not have one that's exactly what you want. So I'm quickly bang together a little video on how to do this if you don't recall what we looked at in class today. Okay, so you can see on the screen there, I've already got some data from previous year's students that I've entered into Excel. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to highlight the two columns that have the mass numbers, so this one here, and then I'm also going to highlight the column that has the average time numbers in it as well. Now, when you do this, make sure that you don't highlight the column headings, you just highlight the numbers. Highlighting the column headings can often cause your computer to freak out. It just can't handle that mix of words and numbers. So leave the column headings out and then add them in later in your graph if you have to. Okay, so I've highlighted the mass numbers. Now I'm going to hold down the control key, go over to the average time column, and while still holding down that control key, highlight the other column as well. Once I've done that, I can let go of the control key and the mouse button. Okay, so now I've got those two columns highlighted. Go up to the top. Now, your laptops being older machines, you'll have a slightly older version of Windows and Office as well. So it won't look quite like what you've got on the screen here, but it'll be pretty similar. So you find the insert menu. Now, somewhere here, there will be a little icon for a scatter graph. Looks a bit like that. Looks like a graph with a whole bunch of dots on it. So press that. And when it gives you some options about your scatter graph, choose the first one in the top left corner where it's just dots and nothing else. Press that, and you'll get a graph. And then somewhere up the top again, it'll look a bit different on your own laptop, unless you've got the newer version of Office. But look for something where it says Layout. Click on there, and out of all of the different options you want, pick the one that has a little FX on it like that. Press that, and you can see now that we've got a graph where we have labels on the X and Y axes to fill in, a title, and a line of best fit as well. So Excel has calculated the perfect line of best fit using a mathematical method called linear regression, and it's inserted in there. And it's also chucked in an equation for that line of best fit as well. Now, at the moment, we don't really care about the equation of the line of best fit, but we will later on. But for the time being, I can just highlight that and delete it. Might also delete this legend here as well, just to free up a bit of space on the graph. And delete all these fancy grid lines too. I don't much care for them. Now, before I get into labeling my axes, main problem here, and this will happen sometimes. Sometimes Excel will make you a perfect graph pretty much right from the start. Sometimes it needs a little bit of help. It tries to do the best it can, but it's a bit slow. So if we look at the axis, the problem we have here at the moment on the vertical axis is that our graph does not start from 0, which is what we want. We want it to start from 0 and go up to, well, it's got 11.86 there. I might make it go up to 12 because that's a nice even number. But that way we don't get a distorted, stretched out graph like we do here. So you can see that the line of best fit looks like it's going down at an angle, but that's really just an exaggeration because we've made the y-axis so concentrated. We've squeezed all of our data into a very small area. So to change that, click on the vertical axis. So you get a little box around it like so. Right click, choose Format Axis. It's the last option on the menu. And then you'll get a window of some kind that comes up. Now again, it'll look a bit different on your computer, but you'll have something somewhere where it says minimum and maximum. Now, it usually tries to guess the minimum and maximum, which is what's done here. It should have auto on there somewhere. Take that auto and change it so it says fixed instead. Now, because I've got a newer version of Office, I don't have to do that, but I'm going to go into the minimum one and I'm going to set that from the auto value to 0 instead. And while I'm at it, I might set the maximum to say, well, it's just made it 14. That works fine. So you see now, if we go back to the graph, and close that now, the line of best fit now looks a lot more like a horizontal line because now my axis goes all the way from 0 up to 14. There's none of this stretching going on. So now my last step is just to fill in the axis labels. So x-axis is our independent variable, which in this case here would be mass. So I type that in. put a little kg for kilograms, because remember, you always got to include your units of measurement when filling in the axes on the graph. Go over to this guy, and we're going to put in average time in there, then in brackets, and S for seconds. Then your chart title, an appropriate chart title would be something like varying mass, just to illustrate that in that particular trial, we were varying the hanger mass on the pendulum, and we were keeping the other two variables as a constant. Okay, so that is it. Hopefully this will get you around any problems you have with making graphs in Excel. And make sure you sit down at home, get it done, and have that PRAC report more or less ready to hand up on Friday. There'll be a little bit of time in class to help you with any sort of minor issues, but I'm expecting to be able to collect something at the end of Friday's lesson. All right, catch you later.